from someone who covers the team and covers the NBA as a whole for ESPN on the River Islands guest line. It's Youngmisuk, who is with the team in Utah right now. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for your time on a busy day.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yes. What would you say to that? Is today's news of Kevin Durant not wanting to come, is it a little bit of a realization that maybe the Warriors aren't quite the destination for stars that they think it is?
Look, I mean, this one in particular has a little history behind it. So, I mean, like, I am a big old school 80s, 90s R&B, hip hop, 80s fan. And there's a reason why some of these groups that you used to love growing up break up and they never get back. Sometimes there's a history there and they can't get over stuff like that. And so, you know, I was a little surprised that KD was against the reunion, but there's certainly reasons to understand why. He's already been here, and I guess he doesn't want to do it again. But as far as the gut punch, day's not over yet, guys. I mean, the Warriors have been very aggressive on the trade front, and I don't expect that to stop anytime soon. I think they're going to continue to be aggressive and still try to make a trade.
You had me thinking about New Edition when Bobby Brown left and went solo.
I'm a huge New Edition fan.
Yeah,
listen, New Edition actually got back together,
right?
And they've been on tour in Las Vegas. I went to see their residency, and they're great. But unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see this second act for KD and Steph and Draymond.
Yeah, Mark and I were kind of running through it last week, and I was trying to make the comp on who the Johnny Gill would be because I thought that he was quietly the most underrated member. But you and I could do this all day. It's more important to ask you about the pivot point as they try to, go out with 19 hours left until the deadline. To where do the Warriors seek for that new addition?
Yeah, I would think it would be Jimmy Butler. They have been aggressive about it. There was some talk initially that it was going to be maybe trying to get Jimmy Butler and redirect him to Phoenix in an effort to get Kevin Durant or things like that, a very complicated trade. There's been a lot of smoke around Jimmy Butler to Golden State for a long time now. And so I know Brian Windhorst had reported that Jimmy would be against doing an extension. But at this point, it just seems like the Warriors are so aggressive about wanting to get somebody in now that maybe they'll just deal with that later. I mean, I'm a proponent of saving as many assets and chips as you can for next summer if you don't get what you want right now. I know the Warriors had said like a couple weeks ago, let's not be rash, let's not be desperate. Steph had said that. Let's not mortgage the future. Steve Kerr said that, Draymond, they were all aligned on the same thing. And I think diplomatically, it was basically like, if there's a bigger trade, a bigger fish to go get next summer, we'll save everything for then. But clearly there's been a little bit of a shift with the Warriors. And I think, I think they want to go after someone now.
All right, so Youngmisuk in Utah, ESPN covering the Warriors in the league. If they are to get back into that conversation with Jimmy Butler, and if they are to say, hey, who cares about an extension? Let's just do now. In this moment, with Miami potentially desperate also to get rid of him, what do you think the cost would be?
I'm not sure. It's a good question. I think, we've seen Andrew Wiggins. We've seen maybe some draft picks, like maybe hopefully, I think if you're thinking of the Warriors, you're thinking hopefully second-round picks, and maybe expiring contracts. I don't think with the way that Miami is looking to get off of Jimmy Butler, if you're Golden State, you wouldn't want to have to give up some of your younger assets like Kuminga and Pajemski. So it would seem to be that most of the smoke has been around Wiggins and maybe some other smaller pieces.
Have you heard any chatter at all about Draymond Green possibly being on the move, or was that only connected to a potential Kevin Durant move?
I think, I've heard Draymond's name has been discussed, I think, but I'm not sure exactly what they were discussing it for. My guess is that it would have been probably in a move to try to get Kevin Durant because of the connection between the owner, Matt Ishbia, and the Michigan State ties to Draymond Green, and also that Bradley Beal wasn't going to be moved. So it would have had to take probably somebody like Draymond Green to get Kevin Durant out of Phoenix.
Hey, I'm interested, and I think a lot of Warrior fans are too, with this idea of Wiggins being involved in a deal. How much at this age and at this time, how much of an upgrade is Jimmy Butler over just Andrew Wiggins?
I totally get that question. I will say one thing about Jimmy Butler. Everywhere he's gone, I think when he goes there right after a trade or move, he tends the ball out. And so I think that's one thing you can get from Jimmy Butler. Of course, what complicates this is the contract. I think he clearly wants a new contract, and if he doesn't want to re-sign at Golden State, well, is he going to come and ball out at Golden State if Golden State were to get him? Before then, you would hope so, because certainly he wants a new deal. And then that would be the upgrade. If Jimmy Butler balls out like we know he does, then I think it's an upgrade over Wiggins. And I say that, saying that Wiggins has had a great season. Wiggins has been quietly a great two-way piece for the Warriors. Every night I watch him defensively, he's taking on guys that are bigger than him, smaller than him, quicker than him, and he's done a great job. And he's been aggressive taking the rim. He's tried to be that second scorer that they needed to be while Kuminga was out. So I think Wiggins has had a very good season. So I think Jimmy Butler would be an upgrade, though, if he follows his history of wherever he goes to a new team, he balls out.
Yeah, balls out early and maybe blows it up late. So depending on how long you had him, maybe you don't ever get to that second stage of the Jimmy Butler experience. How much did the Jonathan Kuminga injury kind of ruin the Warriors' plans to either showcase and deal him or have him play so well that Wiggins would truly be expendable?
That's a good question. I mean, because you also don't know, like, if he played so well, then maybe they opt to keep him. I think that when he got hurt, he had shown, a 6-game stretch, I believe, where he was on fire. But I think he probably has shown enough of what teams mostly believe in him, which is he has a lot of upside. The athleticism is there, the potential. So as long as it's not like a knee injury or anything like that, since this was an ankle sprain, I don't think it was at risk of teams shying away from him because of this ankle injury.
Let's go back to your very first answer where you're like, hold up, everybody, the day's not over yet. What about the PR of where this story has been? Do you feel like the Warriors need to do something just because there's been so much talk?
I think it was maybe on your stage. I can't remember. I heard Bob Myers say this recently about how front office certainly can take into consideration what fans are thinking and what public opinion is. And I think more than ever, this trade deadline, it certainly feels like once Luka got traded, everybody was like, holy cow, anything is on the table. Let's call every team and see who's available. Whereas that might not have been the case before, just because you just assumed so-and-so was untouchable. And so I think, as we go on here, I think the Warriors are just going to be aggressive in trying to get whoever they can. It certainly stings that Kevin Durant doesn't want to come to have a reunion. But I don't think that was going to stop them from being aggressive no matter what.
If they make no deal and the Warriors wind up tomorrow at 12:01 with the exact same team that we have today, where does that leave the Warriors in terms of their morale inside the locker room, you think?
I think a lot of the guys will be relieved, number one, because I think it's probably been a very tense week or so. It's always tense in every NBA locker room around the trade deadline. But the Warriors, a lot of Warriors have heard their names and trade rumors. And shoot, even Draymond Green was saying on Monday, we know Joe Lacob is pissed and basically being a 500 team. And, after Luka Doncic has been traded, anybody could go. And so I think you would see guys that are relieved. Maybe that would unlock them a little bit more, but they've looked, regardless of the trade deadline, they've been a 500 team now for a long time. So I think you're just going to continue to see probably more of the same, that the Warriors will show these spurts of looking really good, and then they'll go through a 2-game losing streak of looking really bad, and they'll probably hover right around the play-in and maybe get a little bit closer to 7 or 8, but they're probably going to be in that 7 to 10 range.
Broad view here. Is the way the Warriors are playing all of this realistic? In other words, this whole idea of Joe Lacob, in fact, was listening to our station earlier today, And Matt Steinmetz said there's all these reports that Joe Lacob is angry. And you just mentioned Draymond saying, hey, Joe Lacob is pissed. And Lacob texted in and goes, I'm not mad. I just want to win. And my thought immediately was, do you get to just win every year, even when your players are almost 40 years old? Is this a realistic approach for the Warriors?
Let me say something to Golden State fans out there who may have been a little spoiled with 4 championships. You have an owner who wants to win. Be thankful for that, because there's a lot of teams in this league that have owners who have different bottom lines. Joe Lacob wants to win championships. He's gotten a taste of it. He wants to continue this dynasty. He wants to keep the window open around Stephen Curry. There's a lot of worse things you could get from an owner than that. So if I were a Warriors fan, I'd be very happy that Joe Lacob is doing everything he can to try to win. Again, though, my thing is, do you go after a guy that maybe there's no guarantee you're getting out of the second round of the playoffs in the Western Conference Finals this year, versus waiting next summer for potentially a bigger star that you weren't expecting to become available, and that star is in the mix for you guys? I don't know. To me, I think I'm probably waiting.
Is this still a great marquee destination for a star in the offseason?
I think so, because it's the Bay, it's Golden State. It's a team that wants to win. It's a team that has a new arena. It's a team that has a good culture, a coaching staff. I don't think that it's a place that players would not want to go to. And you have Steph Curry, who is probably one of the easiest stars to play with. So I understand maybe the thinking here that Kevin Durant didn't want a reunion, but I don't think that there are other stars that wouldn't want to play.
This is great stuff on a huge day. Thank you so much for spending some time with us.
All right, guys. Well, it should be an interesting next less than 24 hours.
You're damn right.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much.
All right. See you guys.